Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy M.K.S. Finally back here with part three of this list of my goals for or ideas about Italian football or Unification Day. I was thinking to say buongiorno or ciao, but that's about the only Italian I know. I only support Italy for football nowadays, or only like Italy for football. Um, anyway, I thought in the thumbnail you probably noticed once again I'm in touch with my feminine side by drinking from a pink mug. So I hope no one judges me too much on that. Um, but yeah, so normally I have different mugs which remind me of different ideas. So I was thinking like ideas to empower women in Africa or stuff like that. That's why I'm drinking from this mug, I think. But anyway, I'm going to try and crack on with the list without waffling too much. As ever, please let me know what you think about each of my points. I hope you won't be too harsh, but please let me know what you think as ever, and hope you enjoy it. And especially people from Italy will hopefully enjoy it and find some ideas which hopefully they take on board with it, or at least think about. Take on board. I suppose that's the same thing. Think about. Anyway, sorry. So here goes. As I say, I'm continuing on from parts 1 and 2. Please check them out if you haven't already done so, and please let me know what you think. And apologies if like the sound's not that clear or whatever. People have told me before, but at the moment, as I said before, I'm only working on the equipment I have at the moment. So it's not that I'm not listening to suggestions or feedback or anything like that. It's just at the moment, until I grow my channel, I'm working with what I have. So you can always support my channel, and I can always improve it as I go along. Hint. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with this list. I don't want it to be too long, as I often say. So here goes. So number 21, to recap some of my points. I'd love Italians to practice for at least an hour a day or more, as many hours as possible. Like one of the things I was seeing with coronavirus, unfortunately, it will stop people from practicing. So I hope that they'll find ways to practice somehow, even if it includes social distancing or whatever it takes to help Italians, hopefully in the best possible way, to practice as much as possible. And trying to remember some other ideas I was talking about. I know I've already covered a lot of those, so you can always check that in my previous videos. But if I remember anything, I'll probably post it in the comments as well. And I'd love to hear other people's ideas as well. But yeah, so I'd love also Italy to utilise the historic successes of both the national and club team levels to like sort of export Italian football across Africa and Asia, like so they train together, hopefully in the future again, hopefully when travel, all being well, is safe, good speed, and hopefully they'll stay safe and that sort of thing. And again, using those historical successes like Italy's 4 World Cups, and I think it's 1 European Cup, and also the club teams and how they were really big in the past. I know they're not quite, unfortunately, as good as they were. And hopefully, another thing is I hope to bring back that pride with like hashtag please make Italian football proud again and stuff like that. And hopefully encourage Italians and Italian companies and brands to invest in like football spaces, places for sport, as well as like the Italian government giving tax exemptions for companies to invest in football stadiums and things like that. Number 22, hopefully looking into the future again to build partnerships, again using some of those historical successes to practice with people from Italy, from China, India, all over Asia, Africa, and places like that, like Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria, Cameroon, to have those academies and like Italians to practice with those. So hopefully it'll be a mutual benefit to both or all countries involved. So hopefully, as China and India have such huge populations, and so does America. Hopefully, and also countries like Indonesia and places like that, or hopefully those countries will benefit as well through like more practice, and also like Italians going to visit their countries and a cultural exchange through football, but also learning about each other's culture generally. Hopefully that will, I say, be a mutual benefit, but hopefully it benefit Italian football a lot, because it'll be given more opportunities for young Italians to practice as much as possible for the future, because obviously those countries have huge populations and are possibly sleeping giants like China and India and America in football. So it'd be great for Italy to practice with emerging footballing countries, which could be football powers in the future, but hopefully benefit each other. So hopefully the Chinese and Indians will want to practice and learn from the Italians and vice versa. And again, as many countries as possible, and hopefully improving relations with Italians and the rest of the world through football. Again, I hope to cover this in more detail on the 17th of March, which is Italy's Unification Day, in case I forget any points or whatever. And I'd love to go to Italy. Maybe like even on, I doubt I'll be able to travel in March, but I'd love to be able one day, like on 17th of March, to go and share my ideas, or maybe on different days, like on my birthday, on the 29th of August, or in August generally, or whenever the opportunity arises, maybe in October as well, which is Dyslexia Awareness Month, with my fellow dyslexics and Anglo-Indians and other groups to talk about my ideas and how my ideas as a dyslexic could benefit town football and things like that. So yeah, I hope to develop those ideas in the future and like talk about my ideas about practice exercises I would have to help the youth to practice in the future. Number 23, I'd love to see as much fundraising as possible into town football and like see as much funding again for spaces for sport, or in this case football, places for football specifically, and companies both from inside and outside of Italy. Again, the government and politicians generally could talk about what tax exemptions or what ways they would help football generally, like so people could invest in a town football, like overseas investment as well. So they build football pitches, football stadiums, footballs themselves, like give footballs to, obviously not build footballs, but give footballs to young players to practice, and like hopefully that'll benefit the academies as much as possible, and like so giving as much tax exemptions as possible for investing into a town football. And again, I'd love to see the wealthiest, hopefully that'll bring in the most sponsorship, wealthiest investors or owners, and all sorts of things like that, so bring in as much money as possible into a town football. But from a humanitarian point of view, because of that, I think if we manage to do that, I say we as a fan, hopefully that money, hopefully also town football will raise money for the poorest people around the world, like women in Africa, girls in Africa, to learn about programming or coding or technology generally, support women in Africa in business or in Asia or different parts of the world as well. And hopefully that will be a mutual benefit again, because hopefully that will encourage more people to follow town football and invest into town football as well. So hopefully it will have a mutual benefit. So what town football gives, they'll get back, and learning from English football or other leagues, which especially the Premier League, which have given, I do these charity work around the world, but then it comes back to benefit Italian football in this case, hopefully. Again, I love Italian football to practice with Celtic. A lot of these ideas I also hope to apply to Celtic as well, like tax exemptions for the good work they do and stuff like that. But in Italy's case, like to bring back those glory days, like when Italian football was at least one of the best, to go back to those glory days by offering tax exemptions and for people who invest, not just for the good work they do, as I say, but to improve Italian football as well as the good work that they could do in the future, hopefully to fundraise for things like tackling coronavirus and healthcare, both in Italy and overseas as well. And yeah, so fundraising for some of the poorest people around the world and that sort of thing, through football as well. Number 24, I'd love Italians as a game to come together and practice for as much as possible, and to encourage each other and to help each other, like so tackling things like bullying for football. So all Italians like encourage each other to practice as much as possible to become the best players they could be. So hopefully they will work as one via football specifically. And again, practice for as many hours as possible each day, all being well. Even if there are sort of exercises they can do where they stand further apart, so they can still socially distance, but practice football if necessary, for as much as possible, as long as possible. Number 25, I'd love Italy to also improve relations with Eurasian, transcontinental, Mid-Eastern, especially Mediterranean nations. Again, hopefully they'll have wealthy people from those backgrounds investing into Italian football as well as practicing with each other, and like things like looking at what Italy have in common with France, like both are republics, both are Mediterranean nations, and both have the tricolor, they're both democracies, both in Europe, and all those sorts of things, which they can look at what they have in common. And again, in the future, I hope to make videos about what Italy and France, Spain, Portugal, and other countries like that have in common, especially being Mediterranean nations. I'd also love Italy to host events where like Republic events, Republic Cup, where different republics come to Italy to practice playing football together and unite together as republics, and also like Mediterranean nations, tricolor nations, and things like that. So having the Mediterranean Cup, Republic Cup, Tricolor Cup, and things like that. A lot when I talk about Eurasian, transcontinental, Mid-Eastern, and Mediterranean nations, it's like also because I feel I have a connection to those countries. I want to unite them with Italian football through myself. I hope that makes sense. Number 26, I think Italian football should give back to countries that colonized, like Ethiopia, Tunisia, and places like that, through the Roman Empire, and like sort of go to those countries and play football, and through football fundraise for, say, Ethiopian entrepreneurs, Tunisian entrepreneurs, Ethiopian and Tunisian technology, women entrepreneurs, and all sorts of things like that, to sort of give back or make up for what, dare I say, reparate for invading those countries, again through football. Number 27, I'd love to have like a list of Italian football heroes and like Italian football Walk of Fame, Hall of Fame, and Walk of Fame, Hall of Fame, and Walk, Hall, and Walk, Hall, and Wall of Fame. Sorry, where so they have a sort of honours list as well, like events where they honour those who have contributed to Italian football. I like club teams who have won an event, won a competition in Europe or internationally, or managers, coaches, players, or whoever, owners, sponsors, investors, whoever else who have contributed to Italian football in some way, and maybe like a list of 10, 20, or even 30, or even 100, and then narrow it down to have like the top 10. So that's even, so if you're in the top 100, it's not quite as good as being in the top 10, if you know what I mean. So hopefully that would encourage more people to contribute to Italian football, investing into Italian football and things like that. Number 28, hopefully again through football, a lot of things like the coronavirus problems and things like that can hopefully be tackled, global warming and things like that, through Italian football. And again, Celtic could be involved in things like that, training. A lot of these ideas again could apply to Celtic as well, and vice versa. Number 29, again, I love for people with things in common with me, like people from Anglo-Indian or learning disabled backgrounds to play football in Italy and like raise awareness of learning disabilities, fundraise for disabled people and things like that. People with mental health problems, and also people with mental health problems playing football in Italy if it's safe to do so, depending on how severe the mental illness is and that sort of thing, and also learning disabilities and that sort of thing. And again, like disabled people generally, like physically disabled as well. And yeah, so to bring together people with things in common with me. I say like Eurasian, transcontinental, Mid-Eastern and Mediterranean because I think like Eurasian countries, like being part European and part Asian, they're like symbolically, I feel I have something in common with them kind of. And also transcontinental countries, because mixed races like between different countries, or different continents rather, generally speaking. And also Eurasian, Mid-Eastern, because I think people from the Mid-East look olive skinned, a bit like Italians, and also Mediterranean, because Italy itself is Mediterranean and things like that. And number 30, sorry if this video is a bit long, and I'd love to hear your ideas, and hopefully again on 17th of March I'll come up with more ideas, and in the future generally. And I'm out. Peace and love.